So this video is a presentation I'm filming for a conference. It's the Society for Community Research and Action conference in the US of America, and the session I'm contributing to is called Studying Up 2.0. It's all about studying people who have power rather than people who don't. Why I'm negative about positive psychology. Back to the story, because I've got a story to tell. So I've got some top tips on how to take up the background. If you are studying an undergraduate degree in psychology, I encourage you to think critically. It helps people like me stop doing stupid things. Hi there, Paul Duckett here. Sorry I can't be with you at the conference. I hope it's all going well. Now I'm coming to you from sunny Townsville in North Queensland, Australia. I'm sitting in my favourite park. Now, big thank you to Scott for organising the session and inviting me in. What I want to do is tell you a story quickly to explain why my focus in our Studying Up 2.0 session is on studying the hierarchies in our community psychology professional networks. Now, in 2017, when we did Studying Up 1.0, I was busy thinking about all the ways that we should be studying up, studying the powerful rather than the powerless, but I was tending to look at organisations other than the one in which I was working. Now, from 2012 to 2018, I was challenging the knowledge and practice of senior community psychologists at the university where I was working. But I was blinkered to the power nexus of the particular institution in which we were in. The impact of this was quite devastating. It led me to lose my job and my home and become disconnected from the main body of community psychologists in Australia. It's largely because I didn't spend enough time thinking about the distribution of power in my organisation and how something would happen to me that I didn't want to happen, and I had no power to stop it. I won't tell you that story now, that story's for another day, but it's one of the reasons I couldn't come to your conference. I'm disconnected from my network. It's also the reason why my focus for Studying Up 2.0 has shifted to studying the powerful in universities. Studying up in community psychology can often focus quite rightly on social environments outside of the academy. Anything other than that might appear somewhat egotistical or narcissistic. Indeed, for the discipline of community psychology to focus its activities on understanding the machinations of a university might appear particularly shameful, given the urgency of the social issues outside of the university. But there's a danger that the discipline is failing to account for the context of social power within the university sector in which much of its work occurs. Universities are one of the most deeply hierarchical institutions that there are. It's on a par with the military. The social power hierarchy in universities is reinforced through the titles the institution gives to its members. Professor, doctor, postgraduate, undergraduate, student, and so on. The institution is ultimately purposed to continually sustain and reproduce that hierarchy by filtering out the unsuitable people and selecting the new protégés whom it is hoped will eventually fill the top positions in our academic institutions once the senior academics retire. And the academy is constructed explicitly to closely manage and maintain its social hierarchy. It's all a bit like Game of Thrones, but without the nudity.
No, it's worse than that. The smell was worse.
Now, what happens to the conversation about studying up when the up that are being studied are the higher echelons of the university system, the senior professors and senior managers of higher education in our community psychology networks? Are we comfortable enough to undertake that shift in focus? Should we be looking at those colleagues as the colonising power? Now, surely to talk of our senior professors, our mentors, our supervisors and so on in that way would be discourteous and unhelpful. We all know that our professors are often fighting against social systems that disempower them, faculty committees that prevent them from teaching socially progressive courses, research funding committees that deny them financing for socially progressive research, and so on. They're also working in an increasingly fragmented, poorly resourced sector. So why pick on those people? Why pick on our colleagues like that? Would that not be self-defeating? It's hard enough for community psychology as it is. Why criticise those people at the top of our discipline that are trying their best to develop the field? Well, there are many reasons why we shouldn't be having a pop at our senior colleagues. But there are perhaps as many compelling reasons as to why we should. Our university programs rely on systems of mentoring and supervision of students, that system of social filtration, where the best students are selected for the profession. Students' behaviours are closely monitored, and those that misbehave, those that don't see the world in the way that their supervisors do, are shoved out. They're just shoved out. Now, anyone who's been attending, sorry, the parrots flying overhead, tropical Queensland. Now, people have been attending conferences, community psychology conferences, for as long as I have. I've been attending them for about 20 years or more. Well, notice how much things stay the same in our discipline. Progress is really slow. Is community psychology slow to change because of the impact of those power structures that makes it difficult for those at the bottom of the social hierarchy, students, to change the practices and knowledge of those at the top, professors? Because when students challenge theory and practice, that challenge can be misconstrued as based on impoverished knowledge or a form of maleficent discontent towards the discipline of community psychology. Now, I'm not having a pop here at community psychology. I'm not saying these are the problems of community psychology. What I'm saying is these are the problems in the university sector, and community psychology inherits those problems. Is there also a problem with our reticence to do this type of analysis of power in our community psychology networks? Because whilst we might take on powerful politicians, powerful corporate CEOs and so on, perhaps we've never entertained the ambition to be in those roles ourselves. What if we turned our critical lens on those very roles that we are being inducted into, nay, perhaps even have an ambition one day to be in? To become a professor at the top of our field in community psychology. How easy is it for us to take a critical look at those roles? Well, I think it's tough to do, but it's important to do because it can give us a new perspective on why the discipline engages in the practices it does, why it elevates certain things as knowledge that must be shared, and why it appears so often to stagnate even when the world is rapidly changing around it. So is it time to re-examine the canons of community psychology theory and practice through a lens that fully contextualizes that knowledge in the hideously unequal distribution of social power and the steeply sloping social hierarchies in our universities from which that knowledge comes? Perhaps we do need to look at the university system and figure out the practices of colonization and the phenomenon of being colonized within our own rank and file in community psychology. Yeah, that's enough ranting from me. Sorry to miss out on the discussion. I wish you all well. Hope you have a great session. And hope to see you next time. Ta-da. Oh, forgot to say, this video is up on my YouTube channel. I do loads of little videos for teaching and for research and other little conversations about issues I think are important for critical community psychology on my YouTube channel. So have a look at it, go visit it, just search for my name on YouTube and see if you can see someone who vaguely looks like me without the sunglasses on. And subscribe if you can, and be good to see you there. Alright, enough plugging. I better go.